Well, this past Saturday during Berkshire Hathaway's 2023 annual shareholder meeting, Berkshire Hathaway is Warren Buffett's holding company, Peter Flaherty, who is a shareholder and the chair of the National Legal and Policy Center, which is a conservative group that monitors and reports on abuse and corruption of political officials and other organizations. Well, he stood up to speak, and when he did, he linked Warren Buffett to Bill Gates and subsequently Jeffrey Epstein. Watch this.
Senators to present a proposal.
I am Peter Flaherty, chairman of the National Legal and Policy Center. If we had an independent chair, the company would be less identified with Mr. Buffett's political activities. He's donated tens of billions to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. As Bill Gates explained when the company was still together, although the company bears our names, basically half our resources have come from Warren Buffett. If woke culture is the disease, then philanthropy is the virus. The Gates Foundation bankrolls the teaching of critical race theory around the country, including that math is inherently racist. The Gates Foundation offers a gender identity toolbox, which asserts that gender is a result of socially and culturally constructed ideas. This is a lie. Gender is not a cultural construct. It is a genetic and biological fact. You're not going to censor what I say, ma'am. I'm very sorry. And I'll appeal to the chair that I be allowed to continue. Sir?
You may continue, but you're under a 3-minute limitation.
Of course. We know how much Bill Gates cares about children. He met and traveled with Jeffrey Epstein many times after Epstein's convicted sex crimes. The Gates Foundation had a huge influence over the COVID response fiasco. The Gates Foundation may be the largest single donor to the dark money machine known as Arabella Associates.
We don't.
It funds causes like defunding the
police,
police, making American cities unlivable.
Well,
Money goes also to groups conducting threats.
Just cross the boundary.
So Peter was later arrested and taken out of the meeting, and he is with us now. Peter, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Good to be with you, Kim.
So I do want to mention that there was a point in the video at about a minute in where you were interrupted, and apparently you were approached by Kathy Willems. She's a Berkshire official, and what did she say to you during that time, because it wasn't audible?
Well, you can't really see her or hear her, but she approached me and entered my space and said to me, would you please stay on topic? Now, I've been a shareholder activist for 19 years. I've spoken at dozens of annual meetings. I've never had anyone approach me when I was at the microphone, when I had the floor. It was the oddest thing. And you can see how I reacted. I immediately appealed to the chair, and Warren Buffett upheld my request that I be allowed to continue.
For a while, but then you weren't allowed to continue. They kicked you off the stage. Once you started bringing up Jeffrey Epstein and his connections to Bill Gates, they whisked you right out of there. So how much longer did you have in your speech to say before they told you couldn't continue?
Well, all of the proponents had 3 minutes. I got about a minute in, and that Kathy Willems interrupted me. But I did resume, okay. And I guess I touched the third rail of billionaire politics in this country. I mentioned Epstein. It was not a cheap shot. Last week, the Wall Street Journal had a story about how much time Bill Gates had spent with Jeffrey Epstein. He visited with him, he traveled with him, and this was after Epstein had been convicted of sex crimes. So it was not a cheap shot or anything like that, but it led to my mic being shut off. Now, right after the end of that clip that you showed, almost immediately, I was told to leave. Now, I was standing there. As far as I was concerned, I had a favorable ruling from the chair. I did not really know when my mic had been turned off. and I was still under my 3 minutes. I had every right to be there and to continue to speak. But two security people approached me quickly, told me I had to leave. I said, well, I'd like to finish my statement. And they said, you're not going to finish your statement. You have to leave or you'll be arrested. And almost immediately, I mean, within seconds, there was a Omaha uniformed policeman there who was summoned, and he grabbed me by the arm and said, you're under arrest. And they hauled me out. They took me to jail. They searched me. They handcuffed me and charged me with a form of trespass.
With trespass? So now so are you facing this charge of trespassing for an event that you were invited to speak at?
Yes. My court date is May 22nd. Now, this was not at a Q&A or something like that. We filed a shareholder proposal. It was in the proxy. It was printed in the proxy. It was subject to regulation by the SEC. We filed a long proxy memo in support of our resolution on April 21st. It's on Edgar, the SEC website. I released my remarks in advance, a couple days in advance. So Berkshire knew exactly what I was going to say. And if they objected to it, they had the opportunity to get in touch with me. The SEC these days actually encourages informal engagement between filers and companies. They even require you to state the days and times you'll be available for that engagement. A lot of companies get in touch. We have a candid exchange of views. Berkshire never contacted us. So I get there, and as Kathy Willems greeted us, she was a liaison for the proponents that day. And the first thing she says to me is, you better stay on topic. And I've been doing this a long time, and I've never had anybody say that to me. They have no right to define what you say or tell you what to say. The whole point of me being there is to offer my perspective, not theirs.
Right. Well, and it sounded to me like you were on topic, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is the reason why you were speaking is because you are petitioning for there to be more than one chair of Berkshire Hathaway. You want there to be not just Warren Buffett. Because
our resolution is for an independent chairman. It means that the chairman and CEO should not be the same person. It's good governance 101. Some of our liberal shareholder activists colleagues also support this, and when they file similar resolutions, we support those. And I argued that having both people at Berkshire be one person, in the way that Berkshire is so identified with Buffett that they're almost indistinguishable in the minds of the public, it carries reputational risk for the company. And Buffett's close relationship with Gates is evidence of that. When Buffett started dumping all this money into the Gates Foundation, they were going to cure disease, and they were going to feed the hungry, and they were going to solve all the world's problems. But the reality of where the money goes now is something different. It goes to support all these woke causes, and Bill Gates's flawed view of how we should respond to pandemics. And so there's nothing wrong with raising that. In fact, I think it's critical that it be raised, and that was my goal in being there. And I'm still astonished that my mic was cut and I was carted off to jail.
yeah, it is actually astonishing. But you said the dirty words. I mean, you connected a powerful person with Jeffrey Epstein, and apparently you're not allowed to do that. But we all know that Bill Gates is connected to Jeffrey Epstein. That is known. The question is, how deep does their connection go? Was Bill Gates involved in the nefarious activities of Jeffrey Epstein? We all have our suspicions, and we'd certainly like to get it for there to be an investigation. But your point stands. I mean, you were making a very clear point that Warren Buffett's personal life, that the company's reputation is linked to him, and he's so linked to Bill Gates, and Bill Gates is this potentially nefarious person that people don't really, like very much, and he potentially has some very dark aspects possibly of his life that people would like to have explored. And so that's, I think, a fair point to say, if your reputation gets ruined, what happens to this company? The company goes down with you.
Correct.
And you're saying, I don't like that.
That's right, Kim. And there's no corporation in the country where their chairman and CEO is so closely identified with the company itself.
Right.
He's 92. He's headed the company for decades. Now, some people think this is a good thing. It's made a lot of people a lot of money, but it doesn't change the fact that it carries reputational risk. It could all go
Right.
south. And I would argue that
Sure.
if you see what's happened to Gates, it can all go south.
Have you ever brought up Epstein before in any of your other speeches at any of these, any other events similar to this?
No, I haven't. I have not. We're doing 26 proposals this year. At 9 of the companies, it's for an independent chair. I don't think in any other cases we had CEOs hanging around with Epstein.
Okay, so this was the only time, and this is the only time you've been carted off stage and then whisked off to jail.
Well, yeah, I mean, the only time in 19 years. But just to,
Wow.
to go to your point, even if what I said was off topic, even if what I said was ridiculous, as long as it wasn't slanderous or libelous, I had every right to say it. It was my time. It was
Right.
my 3 minutes. There were 3 proponents of proposals who spoke before me. They were not interrupted. They were treated with respect. That is my time. I have rights as a shareholder. Berkshire is a public company that's issued public shares. I went through the
Right.
process of filing the proposal. They had no right to silence me, yet they did.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. And that is, I hope when you get your day in court, that you'll be exonerated on this one. But I'm curious, who pressed the charges?
Well, it was I was arrested at the request of apparently a company called Clark International Security, and they were running the security in the arena for Berkshire. So ultimately, Berkshire's responsible. If we take some kind of action, I can assure you there'll be many parties who will be defendants.
Yeah. All right, Peter. Well, best of luck to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And you know what? Speaking truth to power, when it comes to
Yeah,
this kind of
speaking
stuff.
truth to power. It can be a little hairy, but at the National Legal and Policy Center, we're going to continue to do it.
Well, good for you. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for joining us.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Well, I think we all saw during the pandemic just how important and necessary it is to have a reserve of food and supplies. Many of us could not get some of the basics because the supply chain had totally shut down. And this is why forpatriots.com is so valuable at the moment. You can get a whole host of different emergency supplies through them, from generators to water filtration systems and emergency food kits. Now, I was always taught growing up in Idaho to have emergency kits and supplies of food. Everyone should have a 72-hour survival pack and a year's supply of food, because you really never know when something like a natural disaster, a pandemic, or even war will happen. You don't want to wait until the next disaster to get your supplies. So start thinking now of how you can best protect you and your family by visiting forpatriots.com. Get your supplies, get your emergency kits, and use the promo code KIM to get 10% off your order.